The Benjamin Dixon Show is only possible with listener support. Go to www.patreon.com/The BPD Show.
Today is Friday, September 10th, 2021. The President of the United States has all but instituted a vaccine mandate for federal employees. We are going to consider the ramifications of that and the pushback that is coming from all sorts of locations that really signify that there's a faction of this country that is committed to pro-COVID policies, doing everything they can to prevent people from getting vaccines. Let's discuss that at great length today. Up first, On the Clock. This morning, Georgia Fort is out again, and we want to jump right into the conversation about the coverage of President Biden's speech last night. I'm pleased to be joined by none other than Anthony Galloway, an author, professor, commentator, and friend of the show. Brother Galloway, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
The pleasure is ours. I want to begin with one of the first clips from President Biden as he lays out the plan of how we are going to push back against this pandemic as we're moving into the Mu variant. I certainly hope that the actions taken by the president can prevent us from going any further down the Greek alphabet of this pandemic. Let's take a listen into the first clip.
This is not about freedom or personal choice. It's about protecting yourself and those around you. The Department of Labor is developing an emergency rule to require all employers with 100 or more employees that together employ over 80 million workers to ensure their workforces are fully vaccinated or show a negative test at least once a week. Some of the biggest companies are already requiring this. United Airlines, Disney, Tyson's Food, and even Fox News. Already, I've announced, we'll be requiring vaccinations of all nursing home workers who treat patients on Medicare and Medicaid. Tonight, I'm using that same authority to expand that to cover those who work in hospitals, home health care facilities, or other medical facilities. If you're seeking care at a health facility, you should be able to know that the people treating you are vaccinated. Simple, straightforward, period. I will sign an executive order that will now require all executive branch federal employees to be vaccinated, or require federal contractors to do the same. If you want to work with the federal government and do business with us, get vaccinated. What more is there to wait for? We've made vaccinations free, safe, and convenient. The vaccine has FDA approval. We've been patient, but our patience is wearing thin, and your refusal has cost all of us.
Brother Galloway, I'm interested in your response to the president's call for a vaccine mandate. And it's not quite a full mandate because there is an open-ended opportunity for people to get tested. But we'll go and sort through all those particulars. What's your initial response?
I mean, so again, you've heard me talk before about the inertia of our past coming to bite us. It bites us when things show up to counter us or to get in the way of our success as folks of color, as a nation. But it also comes back to bite us when we try to do things that in our own best interest in health. And I think that's part of what we're seeing in this space right now. I have no problem with the mandate. Let me just say that first and foremost, right? Because it's still at the backs of employers who are like, if I don't mandate vaccines for my workforce, then in a space where I'm already struggling for workers because people have figured out that I'm not willing to work for pennies anymore, then my business can't go forward. It's funny. My mother works for a company who, where there's mandates that are being given for folks who can come and work on the job and some construction jobs and things like that. The people who are having work done on their own companies are requiring that they're only going to work with firms that have vaccinated or, to President Biden's point, weekly vaccines. My friends group who got together every Monday and had to make the decision to send some of our kids back to school, we came together and arrived at the same conclusion: weekly tests, or we can't keep doing this thing that has gotten us through the pandemic. And so, that's right. Brother Ben, one of the things that I am constantly having to do, even in my own congregation, I'm on the ministerial staff of St. James AME Church in St. Paul, and we have to constantly remind folks and educate folks on what exactly the vaccine is. There is so much suspicion, misinformation, and things like that out there that we could spend a long time trying to convince folks, or we can let market pressure start doing what it does. And in this case, I think that's what President Biden is being forced to do.
You know, it's funny how so many people love the market until the market does something that they don't want it to do. Because you're absolutely right. Like, this is an economic thing, right? Let's be clear. If our system is going to insist that we send people back out into the pandemic in order for them to live, which is not a requirement, right? There is a way for people to survive without having to go back into the pandemic. But I digress. If we are going to do that, then the least that we can do is ensure the safety of the workers. And the only way that we can do that is through vaccinations. I want to go to this next clip of President Biden, and he's going one step further. He's also talking about doubling the fines for TSA for problematic issues during travel. Let's take a look at that clip.
I'm announcing that the Transportation Safety TSA will double the fines on travelers that refuse to mask. If you break the rules, be prepared to pay. And by the way, show some respect. The anger you see on television toward flight attendants and others doing their job is wrong. It's ugly. Right now, local school officials are trying to keep children safe in a pandemic while their governor picks a fight with them and even threatens their salaries or their jobs. Talk about bullying in schools. If these governors won't help us beat the pandemic, I'll use my power as president to get them out of the way.
You know, these are substantive issues, but I do have to. I love the turn of phrase. He has a couple of turns of phrases in that really puts it on its head. Like, talk about bullying in school, right? Talk about these governors, DeSantis and Abbott, who are actively ensuring that students are put in the worst conditions for this pandemic. Brother Galloway, what are your responses?
So this right here hit my family table hard, right? Because we were waiting for our school district to make the similar decision, because we were about to have to unenroll our kids from a school that they love, because the virtual option would have made them have to go to a specialized school space and not be in the school that they are, and they would have lost their spot. And then our school district made the mask mandate, and then instituted protocols and instituted regular testing and all of these things that made us take that sigh of relief, right? And then you've got school districts, and this is at the time when we know that the viral variants, which are part of viruses' natural habitat, like we seem to lose our science class education in this space. We are seeing that not only is our schools, the pandemic's racking through schools who are not putting protocols in place, but this is a strain of the virus that is wreaking havoc on young people, and especially Black community young folks. And so I think, one, this is important. It also makes me think immediately about some of the videos that I've seen of folks trying to encounter TSA. People of all backgrounds trying to have these encounters with TSA, which, we already know that's not going to be good for you. But I also am reminded of the flight attendant brother who had to duct tape somebody to their seat because he wasn't going to play. Like, this is exposing some of the fault lines in our ability to even interact. This is something that's under. And I know I'm a clergy philosopher. I get that, but there are some things that we are unwilling to do now that are indicative of our lack of ability to even have discourse. And so I get that President Biden has to cut through it. Like, in the absence of some get right, Grandma got to make you get right.
Come on, my brother, because let me tell you, there's nothing like a chin check. I mean, not to get into toxic masculinity, but there are some pathways that I would have gone down if not for somebody stepping in and just saying, hey, man, what the heck is wrong with you? And I think at this point, President Biden, while I have a litany of criticisms of him, there are a couple of things that I felt like he did right. And this is one of them, right? This is a time where the adults have to stand up and say, since half of this country is playing these games or being misled by misinformation experts like Fox News, then we have to bring down some authority to save the people and to do our job as the government. Anthony, I have another story that I want to discuss with you, but I want us to take a minute to kind of unpack something that you said there. Like, this signifies really kind of the destabilizing component of our civilization, of our country, to be quite frank with you, because if we can't have some common sense around the self-preservation of our own lives and that of our children, what can we expect from a country that is that sociopathic?
I mean, some of the data points for that, right? We're on track for 725,000 deaths, that many of which are unnecessary. We're on track to continue proliferating a virus, and understand that as the virus gets to spread in bodies that do not have the ability to fight it, it gets to morph, right? Let's go back to our science class. Viruses get to evolve when they spread and pass on. So if we stop the spread, we slow and in some cases eliminate the ability for it to advance beyond our ability to fight it.
That's right.
Just let's go back to science class for that one. The other piece that comes to mind here is some of the disconfirming. He said in that first clip, even Fox News is instituting mandates. Right. And so even when we have the places where we put our trust and information, as difficult as that choice is in some cases, right? Even when they start moving according to science and truth and stuff, we have a resistance. And so I think that's another marker of what you're talking about, that we are beginning to resist things that are even logical, right? And then as a collectivist community, I'll use indigenous, Latinx, Black communities, we are collectivist cultures. And I'm starting to see that this informational space erode our collectivity to this individualist denial of what the reality in front of us. That is another sign of problematic fracturing that I think gets to your point.
Brothers, let's dig down, because yeah, man, there is something inherently different about those of us who understand that we are our brother's keeper, our sister's keeper, our non-gender conforming friend keeper. Like, we are responsible for our neighbor, and we have that collectivist mentality. But man, the amount of conspiracies and misinformation and willful disinformation that has saturated even our communities as Black people really show that there's nothing inherent about our Blackness that is going to maintain the collectivist spirit if we don't actively protect it. Your thoughts?
So I think this is causing people to pull their hair out in families. I got folks in my own family who are extremely well read, right? Who will never settle for something that doesn't have some factual basis, who are arriving at decisions not to get vaccinated. And the only way that it has changed minds is when we start getting together and it interferes with the collectivist space, right? So I have some folks who are breaking off and saying, well, fine, I don't need the collective community, and they're pushing away from that. That's one problem. Another side is the collective community is starting to say, well, look, then we only going to be able to meet in the backyard when we get together because grandma ain't coming outside unless the folks around her are vaccinated. And right. Even that, I'm starting to see folks go, well, then I guess I'm not going to see grandma. The first time I ever heard something like that in my extremely collectivist family. And it's problematic. And so one of the things that, and let me also say that this is also an example of one of those things where if it doesn't affect me directly, then I am allowing myself to push it away. I'll never forget going across the street to my neighbor who's like, hey, so just let me check in with you about this vaccine thing. You know, as I began this clergy journey, folks just started to reach out and talk to me and want to run things by you, right? And so he's like, tell me what you think about this. And I said, well, you know, and I started to list the people that I've had to attend to, the funerals I've had to engage with, the hospice care that I've had to engage with, the family members who have lost. I had a good friend on a podcast we do called Counter Stories, lost his uncle, and he lost his mother, and then just recently lost his uncle to COVID. And so, and it runs the gamut of age and all that stuff. The moment I got done with my story and this person had a direct connection to somebody who's exposed, he got his whole family vaccinated. And so one of the things that we do know is that when folks are directly connected to on the scale, you've got people on the margins, yes, but when vast majority of folks who encounter somebody directly who has suffered or died from COVID in a big way, minds change. And unfortunately, that scares me. That means that the only way, to the point you made earlier, the chin check, we got the chin check from policy and market. This virus also has the chin check of actual death and struggle to remind us that, hey, maybe I should do this to protect myself. And the really important part is the folks who are vulnerable.
I want to shift gears just a little bit here, and I appreciate you being with us this morning, and good morning also to Georgia, because I absolutely am grateful that she introduced me to your work. You're a professor. What is your? I know you told us before. What is your field?
Not a professor. Not a professor.
Okay.
No, not a professor. It's all good. All good.
But
that's where I'm headed.
You could have fooled me.
That's where I'm headed.
Fooled me.
That's where I'm headed. I'm a seminarian, and
the only reason I asked
about
your professorship is because in all of our studies, there's this concept called the rational actor. Right. And it's literally at the foundation of every social science. We make the assumption that the people we're dealing with are rational actors. Therefore, we can make rational predictions about their behavior. Brother Galloway, before we shift gears, would you ever believe that we would be in a moment in American history or in history in general where people would suspend with all ration and logic and reason to the point of death? They are literally being faithful unto death, but not to God, but to their ignorance and their bigotry. Did you ever see that coming around the horizon?
So unfortunately, as a historian, yes. And it's cyclical. Unfortunately, our founding fathers put forward a document centered around freedom while still holding slaves. We have been comfortable with that level of what should be cognitive dissonance, but there's a way to get through it. Professor Resma Menikin, who's from our area, who wrote the book Grandma's Hands and does a lot of work on somatic body care, talks about the override. Right. There are things that cause us to override that logic, override what makes sense. And he speaks to it from a trauma-informed lens, but we have a historical lens, too. People fought and died in the Civil War against their own interests. I mean, think about that. The poor whites in the South fighting to preserve slavery, which single-handedly was robbing them of their own ability to advance and grow in wealth. We have in the AME Church, the founders of the AME Church organize their communities to take care of folks during the yellow fever pandemics, of which folks would not follow some of the guidance at that time and risk their bodies and lives to take care and nurse folks in Philadelphia, only to turn around and never be paid for their labor. And this is another experience in the viral space of us not wanting to believe what's there. We've got folks who fought vehemently and would come out in demonstrations and were reminded of Ruby Bridges, right? Good Christian folks going out into the street holding caskets with the little girl's likeness in them over going to school in the same building. And so you can't tell me that that's not an override of logic. That's an override of your own faith tradition in order to make certain choices. So unfortunately, historical example proves to us that this is not new, and that it can be expected. And we also now need to start turning our attention to what are the strategies that allow us to do that. Again, when we do COVID, the local radio station Humanity Center has commissioned public service announcements for folks to just tell their vaccine story. And when those run, people go get vaccines. People go, oh, wait a minute.
That's brilliant.
So-and-so got a vaccine and they didn't have any issues, or they got just a little lethargic, or all of those few things. That starts to cut through. And so we need to start thinking about those strategies. But again, the market will do it for you too. If I can't work because I run the risk of endangering the health of everybody in my building, and my employer says, you can't come, some get right starts to happen. So
Brother Galloway, next time I refer to you as professor, I just want you to reference back that what you just said, right? Professor Galloway is what we're going to call you. I want to shift gears to Texas. Greg Abbott, who is now coming out so vehemently against these vaccine mandates from Joe Biden, and he's doing it underneath the auspices of the freedom of one's body, the autonomy, and the right to choose. Meanwhile, he's doing this with the backdrop of the bill that passed, or rather the bill that was upheld in the state of Texas that limits abortions to 6 weeks. Let's take a look at this clip from Vice President Harris, who directly addresses this head on. Let's take a listen.
The president and I are unequivocal in our support of Roe v. Wade and the constitutionality of Roe v. Wade and the right of women to make decisions for themselves with whomever they choose about their own bodies. And needless to say, the right of women to make decisions about their own bodies is not negotiable. The right of women to make decisions about their own bodies is their decision. It is their body. And no legislative institution has the right to circumvent the Constitution of the United States in an attempt to interfere with, much less to prevent, a woman to make those decisions. What is happening in Texas is affecting women in Texas, but as we know, it's not only Texas where this is happening. And I know we're going to talk about Mississippi, we're going to talk about New Mexico, we're going to talk about the United States and what we must do collectively, all of us, to protect the women of our country and protect their constitutional rights.
Brother Galloway, both of us are, to greater or lesser extent, you're greater, my lesser, men of faith. Can you help us? What is, at the risk of us getting into the conversation about religion and abortion, because, quite frankly, I don't think either one of us should have anything to say about it, except for I really am curious how you view this through the lens of the cognitive dissonance the hypocrisy as well as the affront to women's health care?
So I think first and foremost, looking at Mamala's eyes who come to the screen to mark certain points. If you go back and look at that clip, look at when she looks directly in the camera and wants to make things plain. I got a kick out of that. Okay. I'm not gonna jump around this as I've seen some folks do, and I'm gonna say straight out, right? I'm full agreement that women should be in control of their own bodies and make their own decisions. There's not going to be a parsing of that, and I'll take whatever heat
Amen.
Comes to me from that, from whatever segment, right? The second piece to this, come on, the second piece to this is if the actual goal here was to eliminate abortion, right, as a choice that folks make, then we would be doing what countries and places around the world who have been actually successful in reducing abortions to almost nil do. And that is, look at the root causes, right? Make contraception readily available in free, right? Do all the things and hold responsible everybody involved if you want to go down the road of personal responsibility.
Come on.
And so I can't, as a man of faith, I can't box my theological thinking into one frame and cut off all of the things that might contradict that or problematize that, because I actually think a faith walk is supposed to be chewing on challenging problems and letting you and God chew on it and figure it out. I just need to guide you to the space where you're into that constant tension. That's my approach, right? So if we're going to talk about the responsibility of everybody involved, then a group of men making a decision about what women can do with their bodies, and ignoring the role of men in that, right, is a problem. The only other point that I'll say is the notion that somehow the 6 weeks piece, right? When many women don't even know that they're pregnant until after that fact, is being that this what is the word? Like this false call, right? Because it is arbitrary, right? And you also seen it backed up by some erroneous things like, being fear of people, doing, abortions when the baby's full term and all those kinds of things. That just doesn't happen. That's just false, right? And so there are all these things that compound this, but ultimately to be able to control what somebody's bodies does, it shifts. It's actually poor theology. It shifts us to the least important thing, and we start losing root causes. Well, let's do things that end rape, right? If we can address that problem, then that takes that reasoning for abortion off the table. If we make contraception free and widespread, then when somebody chooses not to do something or to do something different, of which, let's be clear, in terms of premarital sex and all those things, there is not a Christian monopoly on that. That's not a thing by any stretch of public health data. So come on, let's actually have those conversations. When you put all those and stack all those things on top of each other, if you really want to have a moral conversation, then we need to have a moral conversation about the root causes that would cause somebody to need to make that choice in the first place. And guess what? People who focus on that, areas who focus on that, almost eliminate the need for abortions anyway. And I'm sorry, I had one more point on that. These clinics that are performing abortions are not the main thing that these do. These are public health access things. And so you remove the clinics that may also do abortions. You're also removing things like gynecological care, women's health, and all of these other things from the equation too. So if we want to have a moral conversation, why are you going to remove all of these resources that help people day to day, right? Even before you even get to the conversation of, we ain't even got nothing to say about it because it's not our body. So shut up.
Come on, somebody. Come on, man. I had an occasion to write a chapter about this when I was more or less on the more end of the spectrum, a man of faith, about the missed opportunities of the pro-life and the pro-choice movement, particularly on the pro-life side, to actually do what you just said, Brother Galloway, address the underlying issues. And to me, it seems as though what we have instead of people who are willing to address some of these data points that I want to read off to you from the Guttmacher Institute, which really highlights this. I want to start with this first one. In 2014, 3/4 of abortion patients were low income. 49% living at less than the federal poverty level. And they stated that the reason for the abortion was because they could not afford to have a child. But you also have this combined with a push from the religious circles and the politically opportunistic circles to even limit contraceptives. Right. And so I want us to like juxtapose the first story with this one, because why is it that we either can't see or not able to address the hypocrisy of people who are creating the conditions of our oppression and our situation in COVID-19? You have Greg Abbott, you have DeSantis, you have Donald Trump, you have all of these people who actively created the conditions for 700,000 people to die, and then they're complaining when we have to step up and do something about it. Likewise, you have people who are going to insist that we don't do anything about childcare, insist that we don't do anything about poverty, insist that we don't do anything about men and their culpability in this, but yet they want to penalize women. They are creating the conditions, maintaining the conditions, and then they want to look back and say, oh, I can't believe you actually did something about your condition. Why that hypocrisy? I know it is a technique, but do you see it, and what are your thoughts about it?
Well, I think you just hit the nail on the head in terms of what is this really about? Is this really about a theological stance around the preservation of life? Because if that is the real root, if that's really what you're standing on, and not a political power game or the need to create some kind of culture that is against whatever wherever I might see the country going, right? I'm getting dubious about what this is really about, right? Because if that's the case, then if I'm really about pro-life at this stage of life, then turn around and purport death penalty, turn around and purport the right to stand your ground and kill somebody in various situations, and all these things that aren't a preservation of life, then my whole argument, it starts to unravel. And is this really about, I liken it to some of the conversations I have with young folks, where they'll come to me and they'll say one thing, and they'll be mad and they'll be yelling and they'll be cursing and all the kinds of things, right? And I'm trying to get them to say, all right, let me get you down to a number about a 5 out of 10, and then we can start figuring out what's really going on here. And then I realize that the initial issue that is brought forward is not the issue at all.
That's right.
And I think this is a very similar thing. I think that this country is changing outside the pace of some of our folks. And instead of the hard work of kind of adjusting our lens and understanding and taking in new information, and saying, okay, this is where we're headed. This is something I hadn't thought about. We start to put in the barriers, that we start to put in the borders and say, I'm not moving. And let me be clear. I'm seeing this in this situation, but I'm also seeing this with folks in our own community who refuse to get vaccinated or have or can't get beyond this idea that at one point our government was so involved in calculated dismantling of our own structures that I can't trust this. And I get that. I get it. And there's parts of that I share, but we still have to do the intellectual work of understanding how this happens to check, is that assumption real? And this is I think an example of that gone completely off the rails.
Brother Galloway, we're going to switch gears here. We're going to take a break. When we come back, I have some evangelical pastors who are doing the bidding of white supremacy and conservatism versus that of Christ. And I know you're a man of faith, and I want us to dissect some of those. So we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, more Like It or Not, the Benjamin Dixon Show on the clock. We'll be right back after this.
Good morning, people. You know who it is. It's your boy, The Sound. Your boy, James Bubba Williams, DJ Exclusive, is in the building. Good morning, everybody. Hope that you're having a great morning thus far. Make sure you get your tea, your coffee, your juice, your beer, your weed, whatever it is you need to get your morning started, man. Just come on, get in here, and let's enjoy the show, man. Welcome back, y'all. Good morning, everybody. Good morning, Brother Ben. Good morning, Anthony. Good morning, Dwayne and David in the background, y'all. Good morning, everybody. Wake up. Shout out Georgia Ford as well, too. Good morning, Sister Georgia. We miss you.
Wake up. Hello, children. Welcome to the space.
Shout out Rebecca, I guess. Hey, Rebecca, good morning.
Sent you the history of Earth. I bet you read it, because instead of goofing off, you're here to get some extra credit. That's good.
All right.
Education leads to success, while ignorance and hesitation lead to
good morning, everybody. Good morning, y'all. Come on in and get situated.
Century to manifest your holograms and follow along mentally. As you can see from these primitive videos, humankind didn't really know that they were getting close to the events that would cause their extinction, because they were distracted by so many new inventions. And who could blame them? They wrote in
Shelby Hall, that's what I'm talking about. Sugar-free rock star for me, Shelby says. I got some really good coffee. It's really good this morning, but some good creamer in it.
Once the salaries grow, people ignored reality and watch reality shows. Sometimes a news channel let the truth break through, but then a different news channel labeled that fake news.
Courtney, happy Friday to you too.
Overwhelmed.
Freddie Sandford. Don't tell me with a good time. You know I got it coming now.
Everything changed in the spring of 2023. When the atmosphere is gone and the oxygen is low, is that when they realize you can't breathe go? When everyone is gone and they're all by themselves, is that when they realize you can't?
Ill Hustler, happy Friday.
It's time to wake up, it's time to wake up, wake up. It's time to wake up, it's time to wake up, wake up.
This sounds like Brother J of X-Clan. Yes, Marcus, it does. Good morning, Marcus. Good morning. Emily Fritz, good morning. I see you. Peter Low Frequency, good morning.
They call the internet, where different types of social media store the information sort of like encyclopedias.
All right, R.S. Lee, I really want you to check out Dimash. This guy is a music phenomenon. No one on this planet can even come close. He sings with 8 octaves. Man, what? You know I'm about to check it out. Laura Estrada, good morning.
Trying to make an excuse, they saw the proof of impending doom, so they acted.
Art Lindsay the Third, welcome. Yes, man, when I tell you, you will enjoy this very much. Stick around. It only gets better from here.
The kids have spoken because their future looked broken, and it was
Esther Broshi, good morning to you.
What was more important than
Stephanie, good morning. Shout out, Brother Chuck Diesel. Good morning, Chuck.
Spread globally, priorities changed totally. Inspired by kids, countries cooperated openly. A century later, with great celebration, it's official. We saved our planetary space station. It's time to wake up. It's time to wake up. Wake up. It's time to wake up. It's time to wake up. Wake up. It's time to wake up. It's time to wake up.
Sonny Wright, good morning. Jill Potts, good morning, everybody. Lisa Noel, good morning, sister. Good morning. Susan, good morning to you. Good morning, y'all. Brenda Johnson, no, these aren't new. These are throwbacks, actually. This is like from the beginning.
Are you trying to play me? Telling me I'm crazy. Trying to prove me wrong in every fight. Knowing that I'm right. Why you trying to wreck me? Always wanna check me. Wanna call me out.
Shout out, Savage Sweetheart. Good morning.
Careful where you tread before this ends. You love
Mara Sharice. Good morning, sister. Yes, it is. Happy Friday. Happy Friday, y'all. Tyler Hackney. Good morning. Six Dragon Daddy. What's going on, Brother Lee?
You love me and I love you. Why can't we just match the two? Why we get so mean? Light the match. I'm kerosene.
My girl said, light the match. I'm kerosene. What's up?
Baby, we're fire. Feed the flame. We're fire.
Jasmine, good morning to you, Jasmine.
We're fire. Say you love me and I love you, but butting heads is what we do. Bullheaded, stubborn. Crazy.
Man, Six Dragon Daddy, please be careful out there. Six Dragon Daddy said, not much, Bubba, off the school. Man, do good things. I know you already will, man. Shout out to you, brother. All right, y'all, welcome back to the screen, my brother from another mother. We're going to roll that beautiful being footage. Benjamin Dixon, good morning.
The Benjamin Dixon Show is only possible with listener support. Go to www.patreon.com/The BPD Show.
Welcome back, everyone. I am joined by none other than DJ Exclusive and my brother from another mother, Anthony Galloway. Gentlemen, happy Friday to you. How are you?
Yes, happy Friday. Yay, we made it.
Doing good. Sorry about that. I had to give the dad look over to the noise section over here. Sorry.
You did, Anthony. You gave that whole...
Brother, let me tell you something. Somewhere around 10:29, my kids bust open in that door and they hold me hostage.
They start attacking him.
Said, I'm the captain now, right?
Yeah. Look at me. Look at me.
Look at me. Look at me.
And you know what? It's like, you know what? I told him 10:30. So what am I supposed to do? Get mad at him? But I digress.
Right.
Good morning to everyone watching on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, all the places that we're streaming. We have a lot of stuff to cover. I want to jump in right away with these right-wing evangelical pastors. We call this segment our daily dose of evangelicals. And you know, it might be tongue in cheek, not for me, but I we have to address how religion in this country, particularly conservative evangelicalism, is being used as a tool of white supremacy and political expediency for the Republican Party. And also, in the middle of this pandemic, they are some of the harbingers and the voices of misinformation that are getting people killed. I often want to ask pastors like Greg Locke, who is growing in fame because he preaches the theology of Donald Trump. I often want to ask him, how many members has he buried as a result of his no mask policy at his church? But I believe, Anthony, I might have to actually drive up there and go to one of his services to get that question answered. Stay tuned, everybody, for season 2. More of that to come. That said, I want to jump into this first clip. This first clip is of... Actually, let's go with BPD 4, because Brother Galloway, we talked about this clip the other day, and you about jumped out of on the screen through text messages like, "Let me."
I hit
in,
your
Coach.
comment section up.
I want to give you the opportunity to say your piece about this pastor, Jackson Lawmayer, who used his Sunday sermon to declare that Black Lives Matter was not only demonic, but it was backed by lesbian Jezebel spirits. Let's run the clip real quick.
What is the spirit of Jezebel? It's a manipulating spirit. You say, give me an example of the spirit of Jezebel here in the United States of America today. It's very easy. The organization called Black Lives Matter, that's the spirit of Jezebel behind that organization. You say, what are you talking about? Are you saying black lives don't matter? Quit being a moron. That's not what I said. I said the organization called Black Lives Matter is operating under the spirit of Jezebel. Did you know that organization was founded by witchcraft practicing lesbians? That's who founded the organization called Black Lives Matter that caused $2 billion of damage in one summer. You say, you can't say that at church. I just did. You say, but Jackson, that's not politically correct. That's not our goal. Our goal is to be biblically correct. That's our goal. Say, but you shouldn't say that, because the media, they're going to take this little clip and Right Wing Watch is going to post it all over the internet. Let me tell you something. We are not a woke church that is spiritually broke. We do not bow down and kiss the feet of the organization called Black Lives Matter. It will never happen on this stage. You can mark my words.
I'm going to say less, Brother Galloway.
Okay.
It's a lot going on here.
I'm trying to do this. No. So let me be transparent about what's happening here, right? So I am a firm believer that I don't get to choose. You get to have healthy boundaries with family, but you still got to take care and deal with family, and whether we like it or not. This is a brother in faith that I have to claim and be respectful of. I don't have to not call out some things. So first and foremost, this idea of a demonic spirit of Jezebel is extra biblical, meaning it is not backed by anything. To go back to an evil story in biblically, like there's so many theological things here that are decontextualized in order to even make that statement, that it's hard to know where to start. Right. I get to say things and be bombastic about things that don't have to be based in anything. And it's quick. Right. And then leave it to somebody who has to put all the nuance and the context in there immediately. Folks who just say whatever they want to has a leg up. Right. So I got a problem with the evangelicals thing, just because there are a whole lot of folks who would claim themselves as evangelical who also would eat this cat up theologically.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay. We can dig it.
But I get it. It's all good. Right. So first and foremost, it's extra biblical, right? The Jezebel reference is going back to the quote unquote evil king of King Ahab in biblical story. And so to take that and extrapolate that has a couple of different problems. One, the extra biblical piece that I talked about. The second one is it's been used over time in Christian faith traditions to add to the subjugation of women and to propagate that.
That's right.
So it's a patriarchal statement that I have a huge problem with just on its face, right? Because it's and the characteristics and qualities that are ascribed to this mentality of misinformation, of promiscuity, and all those things are present in all of us. And so to call out a spirit and to liken it to the founders of Black Lives Matter as two gay women, and he calls them witchcraft believing gay women with no basis whatsoever, right? Mm-hmm. Also then implies that somehow who they are and what they are about and what they're calling attention to is infiltrated by demonic spirit. Ergo,
that's right.
The movement for Black Lives has a demonic root. Listen to what's being said below the lines, right? It's not a biblical case that's being made here. It's not a Christian contextual case that's being made here. And I think this is a through line from even our earlier conversations, right? I am dubious about what the actual underlying reasoning here is. And this is fear mongering at its best, that is not backed and supported by a biblical space. And we haven't even gotten to the fact that that particular part of the Bible was written by a community in exile. And it's supposed to be allegorical in many ways, because it's people who had been decimated trying to write stories and stuff and keep and capture and recollect an identity as they went from population of 100,000 something to about 20 in the span of 6 years. So we've got to be really clear about that biblical context. And what I just did, he gets to say something in a couple of sound bites, which takes me months of Bible study to unpack. So there's already an imbalance here that is being played upon.
And I love, like, because amen. Church said amen. Not to detract from anything that you said, but I love, James, how he was able to give us a gentle slap on the wrist for labeling these people as evangelicals, but also how you contextualize the amount of time that it takes to unravel their lies, their false theology, their false doctrine, and what they can say in 3 words, which is the sounding brass and tinkling. It's like it's ringing of the ears, rather, right? And it is something that the people love in his audience. It takes us so much time to unravel it. In the likes of, it reminds me of Toni Morrison's quote that one of the purposes of racism is to slow us down. And this type of thing that is being preached across the country, it is not only slowing us down in the sense of progress, but it's slowing us down in the sense that we have to take time to unpack these things, lest this becomes, what is it about? That if we don't address it, it can become almost cemented in the hearts of other evangelicals. What are your thoughts?
Can I add? Can I give another interpretation, or it's called hermeneutic, if you will? That's the seminary term for being able to pull out the information, right?
I love it.
So
exegete.
Exegete. I'm gonna go ahead and exegete this text a little bit, right? So one of the readings, it's a similar one, and I do this sermon series around Hagar, right? Because she's we have Father Abraham who's looked at highly in the faith, but we don't often talk about the fact, and this comes from the work of Dolores Williams, well-known theologian, Black woman, womanist theologian who talks about the fact that we miss stories like Hagar, or we read stories like that of Jezebel, and we don't apply what we understand about how men do. Right. And so, Hagar in the early story is the only person in the entire Bible to actually name God, El Roi, the God who sees me, in her wilderness experience as living under the subjugation of Abraham. She's a slave of Abraham's house who's been put forward to make a child for him. I mean, we got to talk about that. That matters in the story. It doesn't remove the power of God and the witness that's there. It deepens it because it requires us to now look at it from another perspective. If we take Jezebel, right, what we can look at her at one way is the way that this pastor is putting forward. But what if we look at Jezebel as a woman with issues of heart concerning male authority? What if we look at the experience of Jezebel having to fight to break that glass ceiling, and in doing so, sacrifice some of the things and make some compromises for her own womanity to actually be in a place of power? That can tell a powerful story about how we do women. And that, to me, is the wisdom that's there. And God said, and the Bible says, wisdom is more precious than rubies. Let's get our Proverbs on, right? So that's
After James. I feel like we in church this morning, man.
I'm loving it too. I'm here for it.
So the only reason I do that is to say that just as much as this pastor is able to take that for his congregation and what they're wanting to hear from him, there are many other churches who are preaching a very different story with a very different purpose. And I need to make sure folks know that is out there too, so that this doesn't steal all the oxygen from Christian faith communities.
Yeah.
Yes,
You go ahead, James.
Oh no, I was going to read super chat, man. Go ahead. I'll let you get your comment.
Oh no,
first,
you know how long I talk, brother. You better read that super chat now if it's going to get read. I'm gonna run my mouth.
Right. And shout out to KFZ for the super chat. He says, and this is actually a good one too, get some commentary from you, Anthony, on this one. If they want to get to the crux of the matter, Jezebel wouldn't have even been able to wield the power she did without Ahab. Ahab was a simp king.
Yes, I love it. Come on, this is the type of Bible study that we need to be having, right? Contextual.
Amen.
What can we pull out? What can we pull out, right? And again, one of the things that I gotta speak to, right, to that whatever the handle was for it, I couldn't remember what we said there. Is this text is for us to chew on, right? There's a reason that Jesus spoke in parables and allowed you to get it, right? Because you needed to put the thinking cap on, right? I'll give another example. You can read the story of feeding the 5,000 as a miraculous, and I believe that the miraculous is possible. So I'm one of the folks who believe that it is possible to take 5 loaves of bread and fishes and feed 5,000. What is also true, that if 5,000 are feeding each other, that means 5,000 are not paying taxes to Rome.
See, you know what, man? I cannot stress enough to the people of the progressive movement, the people who consider themselves radical or the left, even Democrats, who y'all really want in these fights are black people who have had to negotiate their Americanism, their capitalism, and their faith through the lens of being oppressed by all three of those things. Right, and it's because what we would say in church, brother Galloway, flesh and blood has not revealed this to you. But the truth of the matter is that there is a through line that we don't discuss in a lot of our Bible studies that is being capitalized on for economic profit by a lot of ambitious pastors who are trying to model themselves in the likeness of the moral majority, Jerry Falwell, all of those pastors from the past who made their hay and made their wealth off of merging the marriage between the evangelical church, the conservative, white conservative evangelical church to be more specific, and the Republican Party. And I'm telling you, we are where we are right now today. What we're seeing in COVID-19, what we're seeing all across the country with the ignorance, the bigotry, the lack of reason and logic, one of the reasons we are there is because of this marriage between so many people of faith in the form of white evangelicals and conservatism. And it is just anathema to those of us who sit back and have been on the receiving end of that authoritarian, that theocratic authoritarianism. We have been on the receiving end on it, and we figured it out, Anthony. The theology that you are espousing here is a revolutionary one. It is a revolutionary one, and I think that's one of the reasons they come after black preachers, whether they be women or men or non-gender conform. They come after us so hard, or Yao rather. Yep. They come after Yao so hard because they don't want you speaking this level of truth to power. I got another story, but I want you to just get one last comment in on that one, Brother Galloway.
Yeah, there are many folks. Look at Dolores Williams. Look at James Cone. Look at there's a whole lot of theologians out there across all sectors of life and backgrounds that are asking us to do something, and that is to hold ourselves in the tensions and use and bring that to our prayers with God as a way of faith walk, and that is a powerful witness, and it speaks to the actual Afro-Asiatic origins of this space. We have to understand that the Bible is an Afro-Asiatic text, which has a specific bent on the wisdom tradition. Wisdom is what we're supposed to be gleaning on, our godly wisdom, through the example of this group of people. That's what chosen means, at least in my theological frame. And so if we do that, then we are invited to sit in the tensions. When we get to the absoluteness that is anything other than God is supreme, all right, then we start to be able to insert our own needs. And this is that get back to that point of being dubious about the actual thing that's underneath here, the actual issue that is being challenged here, has very little to do, in my eyes, with Black Lives Matter, and a whole lot to do with the fact that something that I've grown up on is now proving to be insufficient in this growing and evolving world. And if I don't have that, then what do I have? And the fear of that is driving us to come and insert some erroneous theology.
I'm going to make a deal with you before we switch gears. I am going to, in season 2, when we start pulling up on some of these evangelicals, I'm going to handle the spectacle. I'm going to handle the spectacle of it all because, the way they're able to summarize their mess in 3 words or 5 words, I'm going to be the counterbalance to that. But I need you to come with me because I need the substance there because these people need to hear what you just said, right? Absolutely. Because as many people who are allied with us may not be people of faith, you clearly have to see the need for us to address our fellow people of faith because right now they are part of a big problem that we're facing in this country. Whew. All hearts and minds are clear. I'm messing with y'all. Here we go. Let's go.
Come on now. It's like the pastor's like, who that said the word this morning, didn't he? Yes, he saw me.
Somebody passed the offering tray. No.
Okay.
Let me just say too, for context, right? I'm in a space in Minnesota that's dealing with this unrest, right? And what we are seeing is a whole collection of. I mean, there's a native brother named Jim Bear Jacobs who's a native indigenous pastor, who is leading with a woman named Pamela Gunjiri, who's a Black pastor in northern Minnesota and the Minnesota Council of Churches, a truth and reparations plan. And this is made up of clergy who are from evangelical spaces, from quote unquote progressive spaces. And it's this intersection. And so I just want to be clear that what we're seeing in this clip in particular right here is not representative. There are evangelical folks who are about truth and reparations. We need to talk about white supremacy. And that's being led by folks who would be deemed evangelical in their pastoring denominational space, who are a part of that. And it's under the leadership of the Minnesota Council of Churches, which is led, the president of that board is a Black woman, Stacey L. Smith, the regional head of the AME Church under Bishop John Franklin White. She's an itinerant elder. It's there's the bishop. A bishop in the PAW, the Pentecostal Assemblies of the World, is the vice president of the Minnesota Council of Churches, pushing this wonderful work. There's about to be an event where we invite white folks to get real about some of the indigenous reality and history and truth, and it's being attended by folks of Christian faith. And so that is in existence. So in season 2, one of the things that we should also highlight is a whole nother set of arms and conversations that are actually doing that work in opposition to the clip that you just played.
Dwayne, you're fired, brother. You weren't supposed to bring me back while I was dancing to the fact that we about to hit season 2. We about to hit season 2 in the throat.
We got to show people the joy that we have about season 2. We can't hide that.
Absolutely. You can't hide that. Right. So get them as many times as you need to, Dwayne.
So that said, let's take a break. Brother Galloway, thank you so much for joining us, man, for the extended amount of time that you did. We want to have you back on a regular basis, and we've had those conversations, and I'm excited to have you be a part of our family as we get ready to break into season 2. How can everyone find you and support your work?
So I'm the executive director of the Center for the African Diaspora here in Minnesota, the Arts Us Center for the African Diaspora. So you can go to arts-us.org and find us there. I'd also direct you to the Minnesota Council of Churches under the leadership of Reverend Dr. Curtis DeYoung, who wrote the book on reconciliation and Christian faith. His foreword is by Desmond Tutu. So go to the Minnesota Council of Churches as well. And then also you can look at the 4th Episcopal District of the AME Church doing some amazing things on the ground, feeding folks, being on the front lines here in the unrest and helping to support, our community. So Minnesota Council of Churches, arts-us.org. You can go there and donate to the beautiful children doing African storytelling, dance, spoken word, all those kinds of things. And then just say a breath. The truth and reparations work of the Minnesota Council of Churches is absolutely revolutionary, and I would highly advise you to jump on board.
Awesome. Anthony Galloway, I hope that you can, in your theological studies, find some proof text for a justification for me to continue calling the evangelicals evil. But until such time, thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Yes.
No problem.
All right. James, DJ Exclusive, take us to a break. Get the people moving, man. Give them something provocative. We'll be back. It gets the people going after this.
You want us to get canceled already? Okay. He was scared. Oh my God, I'm choking. He was scared. Good morning, scared, everybody. He's over a little number today, man. Make sure y'all stay. Like It or Not is coming up next, man. Shout out to Anthony Galloway for joining us this morning, man. Off the chain. That man said a whole word. I hope y'all listen. Make sure we get that clip. Y'all stay tuned, all right? Good morning, mama and daddy. Love y'all. Good morning, mama and daddy.
Girl, it's been too long. You know what I've been craving. Girl, I'm trying to taste it. You know what I like. Don't it get freaky in the night. When she hit the room, you know it's on side.
Oh, yeah. Don't forget tonight. Patron party, it goes down. Patron party tonight goes down. If you're not already, patreon.com/likeItOrNot. Patreon.com/likeItOrNot. And you can get into the patron party tonight. Don't want to miss it. It's going to be off the chain. Got a lot of new songs and new jams that came out last night and last week. So you don't want to miss it, man. Tonight, it goes down.
Don't take too long. Don't take too long. I've been waiting on you to pull up. Girl, I know you got a member, he can stay at home. He don't need to be around when I'm taking you down. Damn, that drink too strong. We can roll up. My baby, just hold up. Say you got a friend, bring it in. We can do what you wanna. I know you need it. Not to sound conceited, but girl, I complete you. I don't wanna wipe you up, no. But she look good. You ain't gotta stand in the mirror with your makeup on, cause you know that take way too long. I just want to have it right now, girl, you Uber outside. I can't wait just to get this.
Hey man, y'all make sure y'all stay tuned, man.
Want it right now, don't take too long.
Go ahead and get our new patrons read off real quick. New patrons read off this morning. We have Laura, Bryce W. New Twitch subscribers, we have Rainy B1013. We have Dimensional Mystic. KTS Sean, who subscribed to Prime. Cruminati 017, who resubscribed. Jay Putnam resubscribed and been subscribed for 5 months now. Lost Sue resubscribed. Sis Q Cat resubscribed. What's going on, Sis Q Cat? Good morning to you. Jam Tune gifted a subscription to Conrad Cat. Yeah, Conrady Cat. Okay, thank you. Appreciate that. Jam Tune, shout out to you. And JNLD 1981 gifted a subscription to Fascist Killer and Fat Guy Named Tiny. I love it. Anyway, y'all, real quick before we get into the next song here, let me get my song queued up. Anyway, so I'll filibuster a little bit. Where do beef burgers go to dance? Where do beef burgers go to dance? The meatball. Y'all love me. Y'all know y'all do. Good morning, everybody. Come on and get situated to get settled, y'all. Oh, yeah. The meatball. Let out Laura Estrada for your super chat. Are we all attending tonight's The Like It or Not Club? VIP for everyone. Amen to that. VIP. All up through there. Environmental Coffee House, good morning to you. Shout out, Brother Tiger, good morning. Smaya Caron, good morning. Not the meatball. Love it, Bubba. I appreciate you. Thank you. Mark Bradler, good morning. Mark from Australia, good morning to you too. I saw you up there earlier, man. Good morning. Dale, Miss Colonel Benson, terrible, I know. But you gotta love it, right? You can't help but do anything to laugh.
I never switch sides, like even when I die, I'm a ride for the
Mark S, good morning. Brandon Johnson, damn, Bubba. The worse they get, the harder I laugh.
I'm in between, I'm good and it's fine, but I'm tired of the grind. Then I come alive in the night to realize.
Patron party starts at 8:30. Yeah, the way you said 8:30. 8:30. Yeah, 8:30. Cool, yeah, 8:30. I don't know, y'all. 8:30 is what we're gonna say. I think we have a little top it up session, chat it up, and then 9 o'clock when we get the party started. Right? 8:30, y'all. Make sure you have your face in the place, all right? You don't want to miss it tonight. Don't go down. It'll be good one. Dwayne is gonna be there as well too. Lindy, good morning. You know what, Dwayne is gonna be at the damn Patron party.
I don't need the accolades. I'm in love with the
just slide on through there real quick. Like, hey, deuces, you know how to do. Walk in the floor, hey, what's up? Do the head nod and then leave.
do one lap.
Do one lap to be out. That's my type of action right there. Like, hey, okay, yep. All right, cool. I'm going, y'all. I'll see y'all next time.
Do it for the praise, love. That's just how I'm made.
From the glass in the mirror. Yeah. Do it at me, old man. Trying to pass in the fear. You're the first one to talk, but the last one to hear. Eyes blurry, but I couldn't see that. And he cleared down. Start to feel like I'm on one. Settle in, I'll be here for the long run. I'm a slave for the cash. Got snakes in the grass, no brakes on the ad, but it's all fun. We done seen it all, heard it all. Heard enough, give me space before I murder y'all. 10 bad here, I'ma curve them all. 12 missed calls, and I still made a curtain call. Here to light it up, lighten up. Hear him talking, they ain't right enough, tighten up. Everything that I came for, I left with. I don't bang sets, I just bang on the set list. Going past something when I came for the breakfast. Put me in your prayers, I might put you on the guest list. Young, reckless, gold in my soul, got the same on my necklace.
Dragon Dane, good morning to you, Dragon Dane. And the Heart, good morning. Brother Lateef, good morning. Franco, good morning to you, Franco. Roll the Dragon, good morning, Roll the Dragon, good morning.
I'm a little bit naughty, I'm a little bit too consumed, but every part of my body is telling me to run away from
If in the content I did not, but you know I'm about to go look right now.
Yeah, come a little bit closer. Yeah, you're a little bit crazy. It's been days, but you never change. What's love got to do with it?
Shout out Anastasia and the Twitter, y'all.
Come a little bit closer.
Oh,
Yeah.
Environmental Coffee House, thank you so much. Just want you to know that you are one of my favorite things about my morning.
So all my ladies who got
freaking people. Oh gosh. Get on my freaking nerves. I love you guys so
right in his face and tell that man bye-bye. I'm too fly. I'm too fly. Bye-bye. 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 You're a little bit selfish.
Infinite content. I got you.
Every time you lose, you can't take me with you.
That's hilarious.
I'm scared you're gonna blow your fuse. Come a little bit closer. Yeah.
DP, good morning. How you doing? Good morning to you.
Yeah. In the back of my mind, there's someone waiting on me. You're just wasting my time because you're scared and lonely. Finally got some closure. Yeah, I can finally start over. Yeah. So all my ladies who got a brother who doesn't treat them right, put your finger right in his face and tell that man bye-bye. I'm too fly.
That's the bye-bye.
I'm too fly. Bye-bye. 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 Here's to the memory.
Siri Scratch X, I appreciate you. Aw, look at my black self blush.
To be. Your friend said that you left me. I'm glad that's what you believe.
Okay, cool.
So all my ladies who got a brother that doesn't treat them right, put your finger right in his face and tell that man bye-bye. I'm too fly. I'm too fly. Oh, bye-bye, bye-bye.
All right, y'all, make sure that y'all stay tuned. Seven Sweetheart, you better stop. Seven Sweetheart, I hope you pulling up tonight, sis. You better be in the building. Marquez, you too. KFZ, you too.
Bye-bye, bye-bye.
All right, here we go. Why did bread break up with margarine? Why did bread break up with margarine? Because he found a butter lover. Miss Sophia, hey Sophia, hey Miss Sophia.
Pour it down, just pour it down.
R.S. Lee, I appreciate you. KFZ, how you just gonna tomato me like that, bro? I just like whole red just super chat and everything. Oh, Carly, don't worry. We'll see you next time then. We'll make sure that we record a little bit of it at least and send it to you.
I stay high when bullets fly.
Infinite content. I know you ain't talking with a comment. I mean, the joke that you sent me. Come on, Susan. Come on. You know y'all encourage me. Industrial Arts, good morning. Okay, since y'all don't like that one, then cool. Why do they serve yogurt at museums? Because it's cultured. Dwayne laughed and he forgot to play the drums, so it was good.
Just wanna get lost. It's the only thing I wanna do.
Oh man, y'all know I ain't got no sense. Nick, good morning. Nick Nat, hey, good morning, sister. No human is good morning. Patricia, good morning. We gonna get started here momentarily. We just wait for Rebecca to get her life together. Anna Hart, good morning. Put in the SLP. Infinite Conscience says, boo this man. Boo. You can't boo me. I ain't going nowhere. Stop.
Know what I am worth.
He'll hustle throwing swords at me in the chat and everything. She said, I'm gonna start throwing anything at you, Bubba. I know. Alicia, good morning.
When bullets fly, I'd
Yes, probiotic, but not prehistoric culture, right? Yes, probiotic culture. See, Jack gets it. Thank you, Jack. I appreciate you. Right, Brenda, Rebecca, don't hurry up. I'm going to tell like 5 more. I got like a whole page on. What y'all say? Y'all want another one? Okay, hold on. What do you call a group of berries playing instruments? What do you call a group of berries playing instruments? A jam session. I've been trying to filibuster for the longest. Dwayne rolling. It's about to go down.
Like it or not, with Benjamin Dixon starts now.
Good morning, good morning, good morning.
Good morning, good morning. I heard them little jokes.
Good morning, and welcome to Like It or Not, where we're free to tell the truth.
And not care who doesn't like it. I'm Rebecca Azor.
And I'm Benjamin Dixon.
And I'm James Bubba Williams, DJ exclusive, DJ X3C, all that good stuff. Period.
And it's Friday. It is Friday, September 10th, 2021. Rebecca Azor, I need you to do me a favor. Please don't give James enough time to go through 3 dad
Actually,
jokes.
It was 5.
It was 5 on one break? Oh,
no, it's 3 on one break.
I actually had a dream last night of like us having like big success on the show, right? But James's success came a lot from his dad jokes. So I think that was like visionary. So this is what we're starting.
I'm about to start telling dad jokes on every single break. So y'all better not give me no breaks. So I'm telling dad jokes all goddamn going day.
Give it to us. Give it to us.
I've got.
How you doing this morning, sister?
I am doing good. You know, I'm doing good. I was at a story.
Damn it, I should have asked. You stop.
Because I was getting ready to go to a story, but here you go, James.
Yes, it's all right. I washed my hair last night, and I was supposed to get up early this morning, but I slept past my time. So, because I was going to get a nice laid, you know, like about 26 inches, you know, nice and cool and laid. But the way that I woke up this morning and I had like no voice, I'm just beat, right? And I'm like, okay, I'm going to get up in the next 10 minutes. 10 minutes turned into about 45. 45 was like another 5 minutes I could make it, turned into another 25. So when I got up, I was like, where is that wig? Where is that? Y'all, because I just washed my hair, so it's like the 2 little pigtails. Where is the wig? I searched high and low. I searched the closet. I searched under the bed.
I searched high and
the
low.
The hair bag. The
Can't
wig.
find my wig.
Listen.
I went to the store, still couldn't find
no wig.
No wig
is greater. No wig is greater.
No wig is greater, Lord.
No wig is greater than the one Rebecca's wearing right now.
No, there is a wig that is greater. There is a wig that is greater, and that's not the one I have on right now. But this one was available to me. But I searched high and low for that wig. Finally found this one. And, you know, this is the one that I wear with hats because the middle part ain't doing what it needs to do. But, yeah.
You Miss Jackson. That's fine. You Rhythm Nation this morning.
I need somebody to do my makeup and my hair in the morning.
Mark S in the chat room said, dude, where's my wig? You got to be a little bit older, Rebecca, to know that joke.
Yeah,
anyway,
I'm a young thing.
I want us to begin. I want to bring up our favorite evangelical, our hero sound. He's got a whole lot of stuff to say about people who pick with him about hearing sounds. Let's begin with this so-called prophet who has, well, like so many evangelicals, have aligned their entire faith with that of Donald Trump and the Republican Party. Let's look at Billy Ray Jesus real quick. Let's take a look at it.
Oh, here we go.
But I'm
I'm a prophet. I hear the word of the Lord. I heard the conversation of two people. Listen, let me tell you something. I'm speaking to the enemies of God right now. Don't curse me. Don't talk against God. Don't curse me. And don't say those, because the Lord will let me hear your conversation. I will hear you speak. Oh, Brother Robin, you really think you can do it? Yes! When it comes to these things, the Lord opens it up and I hear them.
I hear a sound.
I thought he was about to say, and I hear a sound.
This is, let me get this man's name real quick, because he is our regular. He's one of our regulars. And he is the one who said he hears a sound in the atmosphere. He is a part of this cabal. Robin Bullock, thank you. I could not find that man's name for the life of me. Rebecca, there's not a whole lot of meat there outside of the context of, well, Billy Ray Jesus and this idea. What jumped out to me was that he believes that anybody who speaks out against him is speaking out against God. And I'm sorry, bro, but my God is greater than yours. Go ahead, Rebecca.
He heard what we said. I think, he likes doing this. I've told you guys time and time again. I know it makes for good TV, but we make them popular. So God has told him that we've been talking about him. So if I think he's going to stop doing any of these videos, now it's just for fun. It's been for fun, but he sees the social media love that he's getting and he plays right into it. He believes that he doesn't believe it, but we believe it, not we being them in the audience being stupid and believing that he honestly hears sounds and he's a prophet and everything like that. If we look at the videos that we've played, a lot of the things that he said that would happen have not happened.
Some prophet. Also,
and he's a prophet, right? Also, the things that he said usually already happened when he said it. But he takes the credit for it. But they're like, he said it. He said it was gonna. No, sis, he didn't say it. It just happened yesterday. He just brought it to the forefront to you, and he's saying that God told him about that 3 weeks ago. It's just it ain't right. It ain't right. So yeah.
Hey, Rebecca, is that the wig you was looking for this morning?
Oh, geez, my God.
My wig looks much better. Much better.
This was
Ben said we're on Act TV, so I got to keep it nice and clean.
That has not yet been. This is the guy who prophesied that Joe Biden was going to be impeached. This is the guy who prophesied all these things. Here's my thing, because I want to play this next clip. Dwayne, let's jump down to Lion 1, because here's the thing. Their prophecies, quote unquote, I'm doing air quotes for the listening audience, their prophecies are all around COVID-19 and being anti-vaxxers and anti-maskers, and then their prophecies why is it that all of these conservative evangelical pastors' prophecies all align with the Republican Party? And I'm sorry, if your God is limited to the politics of Donald Trump and even as far as Barry Goldwater, whoever, who was it? T.D. Jakes said this, and now, however people feel about him, but he said, whatever you preaching, if what you're preaching is not applicable to people all across this globe, then you ain't preaching God. But yet and still, they want to convince us that black folks who know better than this white evangelical conservative mess that is preached every single Sunday, they want us to think that, no, we're the ones, like we're the Jezebel spirits. We're the ones, the Black Lives Matter. We're the ones that are antichrist when they're the ones wearing the mark of the beast. Make America Great Again. This next guy, though, this is how far they're going. David Dabenmauer. He has been severely ill over the last couple of weeks from COVID-19, but he's rejecting. He's saying this is not COVID-19 for one. And then he said it's something that came from people who have been vaccinated. I want us to really see how far this derangement actually goes. Let's run that next clip.
I'm not at the top of my game. It was an unbelievable weekend. I bet I slept. I don't know how much I slept. I woke up to go back to sleep. All as unbelievable. Sweating. Man, in fact, my wife's upstairs with a whip. She didn't even want me to come down here this morning. And I'm here, and I covered your prayers. You know, everybody says the same thing. Oh, you got COVID. Well, what the hell does that even mean, I got COVID? What is that? What is COVID? I got something. And, man, I'm telling you, man, it has been like nothing I've ever experienced in my life. I can't eat, but I know this. What I had for the last 3 weeks, it's not a virus. I want you to listen to me again, because we've all been programmed to say COVID virus. What I had was not a virus. I got that from the Holy Spirit. What I have been dealing with is some type of electric transmission. Are you listening to me? From the vaccinated. There's two components that are going on with this thing. Number one, there is a physical viral component of it. Ivermectin, hydroxychloroquine, zinc, vitamin C. The cocktail of vitamins that I've been taking blocked the physical aspect of that from getting deeply into my body. But it did not prevent the electrical part of it.
There's a lot. There's just almost too much even with this. But this is the same guy who said he wants to raise $100 million to attack companies that support Black Lives Matter. This is the guy whose partner said out of that $100 million that they plan on raising, it won't be nonprofit tax deductible, but they're going to take $20 million of that for their personal salaries. Add on top of all that, he says this is not COVID-19, but hey, I still took hydroxychloroquine and by the way, ivermectin, which is a whole scam in and of itself. There's just so much here, Rebecca. What you seeing?
Why would he say, what is COVID-19, and then be coughing? And, you know, the COVID-19 is that, what you got. And the fact that you were still pushing the ivermectin and all these other things. I mean, vitamin C is great. Zinc is great for the body. All those things, you know, those are things that you should already have you're working with. Not ivermectin, but like hydrochloroquine, whatever that thing is. Didn't we already debunk that during the Trump era of COVID-19? And here we are still adding that to, you're telling your people that you're supposed to be covering and protecting. You're telling them to go and do things that may have long-term effects on them, including death. And you're telling them to do that. There is no room for stupidity in the hospital right now. You know, we have to make sure that we already have people who have put their lives in danger and other people's lives in danger because they believed in the lies about COVID-19. Never wore masks, and now they're taking up beds at the hospital, probably on breathing machines and things of that sort. And we don't need more people, taking up space in the hospitals. There's already no room for stupidity. We got the crate challenge and we got ivermectin right now. It's just too much. It's just too much.
No room in the hospitals for stupidity. I got a clip, Dwayne, that I'm just sending you in Slack to kind of echo what Rebecca is saying. And then just to highlight one more thing that you said, Rebecca, and then James, I'll toss it to you. I tweeted last night that we're at a stage in American, in human history, and it's been true all the time, but it's really true now. Who you get your information from is a matter of life and death. And these preachers, like you're saying, Rebecca, they have an entire following of people. And I don't care if it's 5 people or 500 or 50,000 or 500,000. Your responsibility is to your flock. And if you're teaching them things that's going to get them killed, I think you have a responsibility of reporting how many funerals you performed while you're up here talking about what is COVID. COVID is exactly what you hacking and coughing around, brother. James, what you got, man?
Nothing, because this man just talking about, I don't know what it was. that I had. It was something, but it was COVID.
And somebody made a good point too.
Stupid.
Somebody made a good point in the chat saying it could possibly be them faking because they're either partnered. And look, our own conspiracy theories, but these kind of make sense though. He could be partnered with selling ivermectin, so they'll get sick or fake sick. Probably is a vaccinated man, by the way. Will get sick or fake sick, and just push these products because it helps what? It helps the sales of those brands and things like that. But they don't care about people's lives. We see how they push pharmaceuticals that are unnecessary as well. And they don't care about people's lives as long as those companies are making money and probably giving this pastor a cut. Their flock will die because they're drinking symbolically in some way the, what is it? The red Kool-Aid. Punch, the red, what was it?
The Kool-Aid.
The Kool-Aid, yeah.
Yeah. Somebody mentioned to me, who told me this? One Nat A from our audience. She mentioned a documentary about Jonestown where they actually literally followed a preacher to their death and drank the Kool-Aid. And I did not know this until she mentioned it, that the biggest group of people who died in that incident of drinking the Kool-Aid were Black women and children.
And wow.
Yeah, I did not know that, and I got to watch the documentary.
Yeah, it was the worst. It's going to give you I don't even watch documentaries like that, but I was watching it with somebody who does, and it gave me the heebie-jeebies because I saw, who did I know recently? There was someone on a show who lost their family members, 2 of their sisters, nieces and nephews, to that cult thing. I watched the documentary, but I also watched, and the fact that it was done in an island, it all kills me. But the guy was saying that he lost his family to religion, and that's why he didn't want to go back. He lost his 2 sisters. Though this is on Black Love, actually. This is a man discussing how he lost you're right, 2 Black women and their kids. And I remember just seeing dang, why do these Black people follow this? What was this about? What was it? And it was somebody pretending the same way a lot of these leaders are pretending to be Jesus, to be saviors, to be promising them something that they know they weren't going to get. And what's really sad, that mass murder happened and didn't have to, but because we want so bad to believe in something. And when we have a leader, we're going to try to believe the leader as best as we can. And especially when it comes to religion, and it doesn't even matter which religion. If you're going to believe that leader, you're going to believe whatever this leader says, and you'll possibly do whatever they advise. And because you believe that it's good counsel. And in the end, it may cost you your life. And I see that happening, but it was sad that it killed many Black mothers and children. And that to me was freaking weird. But we look now, a lot of these, even the pandemic is affecting a lot of Black people and children. Yeah. And they'll be the ones last to get any help or assistance.
That's right. And to the point that you made, that there's just no time for the stupidity that we're seeing from these evangelical pastors in the hospitals. Here's a TikTok video that I saw last night, and I want to share it with you all. It is a little long, and it does kind of rip. It's hard, but I think we need to see the truth of what's happening in these hospitals. Dwayne, run that clip for us.
Just got home after a 12-and-a-half-hour shift in the COVID world. I didn't get a breakfast. I didn't get a lunch. I didn't even get to drink water today. And today was so bad. It's worse than last year. And I hate my job. And I don't want to go back. And it's hard because I can only do what I can do. And there's there's just too many sick people and too little bit of employees, and it's not fair to our patients. It's not fair to us, and it sucks and it's hard, and I just want to quit and give up, and it looks like it's never gonna get better. I have 3 different patients' blood on my scrubs. I have COVID urine on my pants. I did a lot of CPR today and a lot of bagging. And I saw people grab my hand and tell me to help them to live, and they don't want to die. And then I had people tell me, just leave me alone and let me go already, and just let me die. I don't want to be here anymore. I hate this. It's never gonna go away. It's gonna get worse. And I don't want to do this anymore.
Bad part about it, that is all over around the country, actually around the world.
Yeah,
people don't want to do what they want to do.
This is the flip side of all the stupidity that we're seeing around the world, man, all around the country. The flip side of it is that the healthcare workers are being devastated, and our system can't really handle the weight of our stupidity, the weight of the ignorance of humanity, the willful ignorance. And then the thing that she said that I can't say that I don't identify. I completely identify with that second group of people that she said grabbed her and said, just let me go. I don't want to be here anymore. That is the sentiment that I hear not only right now, but I've always, like, this system will break you. This country will break you. Capitalism will break you and have you to the point where you've gone out and did the work to pay your bills, and then you got sick with COVID. You're in the hospital and you're like, you know what? Why? Why would I put all that I have into a life that is uniquely designed to break me? And this is what I'm feeling from the sister in that video, man. And it's just I don't know, James. It's a lot, and this story is repeating itself over and over again. Meanwhile, we have people in public who are like actively making that situation worse. Like, I don't know what we do with this, man. I honestly don't know how do we, especially with this last thing. There's studies right now, or not studies rather, but there are epidemiologists who are just clearly stating, because of how we allow COVID-19 to spread, we're never going to get out of it. Now, think about that if you're a healthcare worker. What does that do to you? Yeah.
What does it do to you as a healthcare worker? It breaks you down like nobody's business. I have a cousin, I told you guys, who works, and she breaks down a lot, but she's somebody who's been fighting against the getting vaccinated. But the stories that she tells me, and I'm just looking at her like, girl, why don't you get vaccinated? Now she's thinking about it after getting COVID, after saving she got COVID from a 6-year-old, a child who needed somebody there with them. And she put herself there with this baby girl, because this girl needed touch. This baby girl needed some kind of, like something. And she said she felt the moment that she got COVID right then and there from that little girl. But even in that moment, she's just like, we don't know if these kids are going to make it. We don't know. And I'm like, girl, you need to get vaccinated. But look, that's besides the point. But I'm like, just being in that environment, every single day, she's explained to me what she sees. I need people to understand. I remember when they were fighting, these dumb, stupid people were fighting for the country to be open, for their freedoms. And they stood in front of nurses in front of a hospital, and nurses trying to go get their work done. And they said, I need to go get my roots dyed. And then they stood with those trucks. Remember those F-150s that we play around, Rebecca plays around with? They stood on top of those trucks and blocked the entryway to the hospital so that these nurses wouldn't go do their job. And these are probably the same people who are now maybe sick with COVID or passed away. We know we have Herman Cain, who's the greatest example for me, with a few other people who were a part of that crew when it was first coming out. Open the doors, open the country up. Our roots need to be dyed. It's our American right. It's the American way. It's more important for our kids to go and enjoy the playground. It's more important for our kids, for you to be able to see our kids smile. But when you think about it, to cover the kids' fit smiles right now, or to keep your roots growing out and you be who you are instead of dyeing it with that Beijing, and to really allow these nurses to do what they need to do, we could have been in another place right now. And that place could have possibly been a country with way less COVID to no COVID. Yeah. Other countries have experienced that, and we just
shout out to New Zealand
on the ball. Yeah.
Shout out to New Zealand and the other countries that are handling it. We also could. I firmly believe, without question, that if it was not for the ignorance and the bigotry and the stupidity of this country at this particular moment, there would be at least 600,000 more people alive right now, right? Mm-hmm. These people didn't have to die, and the reason they're dying is because there's a concerted effort to maximize the impact of COVID-19. I mean, there's no way you can look at Ron DeSantis in Florida, Greg Abbott in Texas, Republican governors across the South who are actively instituting policies that are getting people killed. There's no way to describe them as anything else other than pro-COVID. Because now we're in a situation where it's very likely we're going to be dealing with variants of COVID-19, more variants of COVID-19 than we have in a hurricane season, right? And it's so out of control, but it's getting worse. I got another clip, and this one is from Joe Biden as he tries to lay down these new mandates to get vaccines, but he's also contextualizing it for the TSA and saying that they're going to double the fines. Now, I want to play this clip because he specifically says to treat your flight attendants better or don't be rude to them. And if you have paid attention to anything on social media, one thing you know is that these people on these flights, when it comes to COVID-19 and being required to wear a mask, they are absolutely losing all sense of reason and going ballistic on these airlines. So let's start with Joe Biden's plea to people to do the right thing as it pertains to COVID-19 and flying on planes.
I'm announcing that the Transportation Safety Administration, the TSA, will double the fines on travelers that refuse to mask. If you break the rules, be prepared to pay. And by the way, show some respect. The anger you see on television toward flight attendants and others doing their job is wrong. It's ugly. Right now, local school officials are trying to keep children safe in a pandemic while their governor picks a fight with them and even threatens their salaries or their jobs. Talk about bullying in schools. If these governors won't help us beat the pandemic, I'll use my power as president to get them out of the way.
All right. And then I want to play next the response because, you know, Fox News absolutely went bat-ish crazy over Biden finally doing something to protect lives in COVID-19. Janine Pirro, the lead. Anyway, I was going to give so many ways of describing her. Just play the clip of this particular pundit.
I am sick and tired of his going up against Abbott and DeSantis and then saying to the flight attendants, you know what, show some respect for the flight attendants. Maybe some of the flight attendants ought to show some respect to us. OK, if you're trying to feed a 2-year-old yogurt without the mask on and they decide to throw the mother off. I mean, I could go on and on about the absurdity of people who don't have power, who are suddenly engaged and have power, then they abuse it.
What about
this guy doesn't impress
What
me.
about when he says the virus transcends borders?
Oh, I love that one. That one. And by the way,
wide open border.
Oh, by the way,
She loves that.
You see, this is what I'm talking about. Is she like, okay.
Go ahead.
Now my throat feels a little soothed. I could go off a little bit.
Okay.
I feel like she, as a woman, should understand why we want to have our kids protected. The example that she listed is not an example that I believe that a flight attendant would go and attack a mother. We know and we've already brought that up and we've already talked about that, how babies do not keep the damn mask on, how they don't like it on their face. Some kids do, some kids don't. We know this. They might fight you on it and I don't think that would be an issue. So the one that she's bringing up is something I believe, and you could probably ask the flight attendants, and that probably most likely will not be the issue. The issue is the mothers that be allowing their kids to just, they 4-year-olds, 5-year-olds, 6-year-olds to be walking around
right
on the neighbor while they're unmasked as well. Then they complain, he doesn't want to put on his mask. Okay, lady, does he pay the bills in your house? Does he or she pay the bills in your house?
Come on,
get
somebody.
your kid and get your kid, sit them down. Get them together. But I understand at the same time, you may have a harder issue with kids who are younger or whatever the case may be. But I believe if it's a baby, if you're feeding a baby yogurt, you're not going to get kicked off the plane. She's picking these issues that are not even issues. That's one. Two. She's saying that it's people with power. The flight attendants should be respecting them because they're basically the ones with power. They have money. And the flight attendants, in turn, have power in this particular moment, and they don't even know how to use it. That's how she's giving me right now. And that is ridiculous. And for me to hear her saying that is basically saying, I got more money than you. I'm better than you. I'm probably sitting in first class. All you are a flight attendant. I don't need to respect you. I don't need to give you respect. Although you're putting your life on the line for me, who could possibly have COVID-19. You got to respect me because I am bigger than you. I'm a personality. I have power. And you got this little power on the plane. You think that you could just use it and abuse it by telling me to put on my mask. That's how ridiculous she sounded. But we also have to really understand that there are people like that who are abusing their power and believing that because they have power and money, COVID-19 won't come knock on their door. COVID-19 won't come to them. COVID-19 won't come bounce that behind in the middle of the club. You know what I'm saying? Like that's exactly what she's giving me. And I really, really want to point out the disrespect as well that old boy in the middle said about the borders. Y'all don't see this? First of all, this is capitalism. This is a hierarchy level. This is the poor vs the rich. And then we have freaking racists, okay? We have people who are singling out immigrants for something that ain't got nothing to do with. COVID-19 is here in America. The borders is open and closed. It's right here. It's right here. It's right here amongst Americans. It's us. It's us. So I don't know what that has to do with anything. Hey, dumbass. And then it's. Go ahead.
No, sorry. What makes it even crazier? They be up here spitting all this foolishness every single day, 24 hours a day, and every last one of them is vaccinated. Everybody in that studio that's not on camera got a mask on. As soon as they leave out of that studio, they got to wear a mask walking around the building.
Yep.
And yet the hypocrisy, they just sit up there all day, every day. It's ridiculous.
And they get a check. It's because of their power. They're sitting there. They have to be, like you said, Dwayne, when you're working in these environments, you have to be vaccinated. Like the influencers that I usually tell you guys about, who sit on social media and just 3 weeks ago were telling everybody, F the CDC, the vaccines don't work, but now they're losing out on money. And what they're doing now, they're getting vaccinated. And they're not telling, it's so ridiculous, and it is hypocritical. And they're sitting there and they know they don't want to lose their job, but they're going to sit there for a check, but be disrespectful and still get paid for it. This is who you guys are listening to. This also goes in with the evangelicals that we watch. They are one and the same. These people, these fake ass influencers all across the board, and they're putting people's lives in danger. Everybody's masked up. When they go fly to these jobs and stuff, they be masked up. Right here complaining, but be masked up on the plane.
They want to protect their own lives and not care whatsoever about the lives of anyone else. She used that fake example that you mentioned, Rebecca, of trying to feed a baby as justification of the treatment of flight attendants. I want us to play this clip so that people can properly see exactly what flight attendants and people on airlines are having to suffer through, which is why President Biden said exactly what he said. Run the clip for us.
How dare you shovel? That pillow dragged it below my nose. Made me wait 4 hours for this flight. Do you understand that? You made me wait 4 goddamn hours. You gave me one fucking warning. One warning. That's it. Put up the second he said something. The second he said something, I pulled it over my nose. Bullshit. No, give me my shit. Give me my shit. Give it to me and I'll move. Go get it.
Tell me why my 5-year-old not just
unbelievable.
Bull. Okay, you're bullshit.
And you gave me one f***ing warning.
Okay, read warning. Was it making you better? Okay, my son.
That is bullshit. And you play out. Your nose is showing when you approach me. You know that? Your nose is showing when you approach me. Do whatever you want.
Offer
you
to comply. To put it on.
No, give me my I got an expensive watch on board. I got my backpack on board.
They're kicking us off. It fell off his face. We apologize. We fixed it. It wasn't good enough for them.
Pull it down.
I mean, we'll tell you why they're kicking us off. Seriously. That's all that happened. I'm sorry. We don't know what's happening.
I don't know what's happening. They're yelling in white.
Let it go viral.
A whole lot.
You're holding my shit hostage.
Bye. Everyone I know is an attorney. I'm Bacardi.
Popcorn, anyone? One warning, and I pulled it over my nose. I'm not the type of guy. I'm a vaccinated person. I respect all your rules. Every single one of them. I respect your rules. Okay?
Talk to your
you gave me one warning because my neck pillow pulled it down.
The wife came off unmasked.
Anyway,
the wife just came off unmasked.
She came off unmasked because you guys are causing a scene. Turn around. Turn around. Face everybody, Frank. Face everybody, Frank. Go ahead. Turn around. See why you're holding me.
Ben looking angry. Bro, don't look angry about this crap, man. This is what stupid ass people go through, dude. Man, you get everything they deserve. You get on the plane, act stupid if you want to, you can get your ass kicked off the goddamn flight. Man, I don't feel sorry for this man at all.
Oh, no.
I ain't looking sad. You get your ass, you get what you get. You acting stupid on the damn flight. It should have your ass get kicked off the plane in midair because you acting stupid. You ain't gonna get me sick. What the hell?
I was just thinking to myself, they should have kicked him off in mid-flight, but that would have taken everybody out.
Right.
Man, but listen, look at this man, right? Look at, like, he is in the this man want to fight. Right?
Yeah.
And so the whole idea that these people who are going up against flight attendants are so innocent. We saw last week they literally had to duct tape one of these people to their seats because they were so angry over having to wear a mask.
And the flight attendant was fired because they did that.
But God.
They brought him back.
Oh, they brought him back. Praise God for Jesus.
Oh yeah, because they reviewed that. They said we just reviewed the policies with him, and they did suspend him without pay. But then they went back and changed that when they did it because they know that they were in the wrong for that. So they started paying him while he was off work, and I think he's been allowed to come back to work. Oh yeah, they don't want to play around with that.
I would just sue.
Right,
and get
Rebecca.
my claims and then just not come back because y'all already stressing me out. I done did all of that. Tape the man to the seat in the name of United or whatever plane that was.
Hello.
And I did it for y'all over here on Frontier, Spirit, United. I had to name all those three because those are the shifty ones. But and here you guys go kicking me off without no pay. But when the media got a hold of it and the Twitter crew that had my back done ran them numbers up, all of a sudden, y'all are like, well, we reviewed the policy. You should have reviewed it in the first place. I should have never been fired. Now,
exactly.
I would have sued them because I'm over here. Now, I'm really risking my life for this country. I don't even know what old boy could have had or whatever. And I had to duct tape him to make sure all 27 seats, because I don't know how much be on them planes, all 27 seats where people were safe. And that is exactly what he should have been awarded a medal. You see what I'm saying?
That's right.
Because these people out here are really, really crazy. And I don't know what I would do if I was a flood. No, I do.
I know. Because you get up in my face like that, I'm getting fired that day. Yeah, and that's what I was about to say. It's gonna come a time where these flight attendants are gonna get fed up, being like, you know what? I'm gonna lose my job today, bro. Waffle Housing, and that's
they gonna go full Waffle House. Yep.
People are fed up in the streets. I would turn that into a whole Miami terminal. We know how Miami gets down nowadays with the flights. Yeah. We see fights every other day. I would literally be the leader of don't ever step into my face. I wouldn't even give you one opportunity. I'm not here to save everybody's life. I'm sorry. Now you can get it. I'm here to save myself. Okay. Like, honestly, and I don't get why these privileged people, and this is, if we notice how all of them are talking, they speak in a privileged manner. They speak in a very, very privileged manner, and that they deserve, they have the right. And that's the problem to me. The man kept yelling, "You only gave me one warning." I don't believe that any force would be used on somebody they gave one warning. I know that I've been with someone who was told to put their mask up, and it was one warning. And that person tried to get frustrated with the person. I had to come, excuse me, it's a pandemic going on. So if they tell you to put up your mask, put it up. Do not argue. It's okay that it was on your chin for that second that they didn't see, but just put your mask up. Thank you. I apologize. Or, okay, got it. No need to go back and forth with the flight attendant, with the restaurant person, no need to go back and forth, right? You got to respect this. And just because you're on the plane doesn't mean change the policies yourself because you got cash, because you're white, because you got some kind of power, because whatever reason, like even the Black people, I see them online yesterday. I thought this was funny though, guys. But I saw somebody post online yesterday and said, third booster shot is giving me junkie. I thought that was funny, but
call me a junkie because I'm about to line up and get that thing pumped into my blood, bro.
That's what I said. My brother actually was the one that said that, but I saw it again on social media. And I thought it was so funny. But at the same time, I'm like, let me be a junkie at the end of the day because I know I'll be safe. I've seen too many people who were against the vaccine say, hey, get vaccinated because this is what my life looks like unvaccinated with COVID. And this is what my husband or partner or friend's life looks like vaccinated with COVID. Big difference. Big difference. So get y'all behinds vaccinated. I'll be a junkie.
I'll get shot call me a junkie. I'm cool with it.
Check me out. Somebody said they thought they had me. They were like, get ready to take a shot every 6 months. And I'm like, get ready to be dead for eternity. Like what we really talking about here? Like, there are a lot of people who can't do basic math. And I think it's intentionally, right? I'm not going to just rest on the idea that I think that they're stupid. I do think that they're stupid, but I think they're intentionally obtuse. I think they're doing it for the purposes of pushing their own agenda, right? There's so many people who are out there who are coming down on the side of those people on the airlines, their rights, their freedoms, and then coming down on the side of ivermectin and coming down on the side of hydroxychloroquine. All these, there are so many people around us right now who are doing everything they can to get people killed, and I wonder. I mean, are we the only ones seeing this? I feel like we're outnumbered sometimes, or is it just that they got so much money on that side and they have the biggest platforms on that side? They own all of Fox News. I mean, the entirety of Fox News is doing what they can to get people killed. And I'm just sitting back like, does nobody else see that the most powerful people in this country are doing everything they can to get us killed?
No, they do. That's why we see it too. We won't see none of these videos if they weren't seeing it. This is something that's absolutely on It's in the TikTok space. If it's on the TikTok, everybody sees it. If it's on the Twitters, everybody sees it. If it's making it to the gram, Shade Room Baller Alert, everybody sees it. But we just have so many, and then even in those different spaces, you can see where everybody's mind is. Usually on in the Shade Room space, you see people fighting back and say it's their right and things like that. Facebook has a lot of people, black and white, that I see every day, people my age, people older, people younger, who are saying I'm not vaccinated and I'm proud. People in the nursing, they work in the hospital as nurses. Some people who work for the government, who laugh at us for getting vaccinated, make jokes. Some people who literally have friends and family. Same thing on Facebook. When I go on Twitter, people seem to have a better mind. Even though it's all about arguments, they're more clear with their conversations. And in the Instagram space, they just follow whatever the comment before or the most popular comment said. And that could be, I'm still going to go out. They ain't going to stop my shine. I ain't going to put that 666 in me. And, I agree, all of that stuff. It's a fool. It's a fool. So.
Right. Nick Eden real quick said, I'll be a junkie too. At the front of the line, like, my boy.
What you got for me, my man? What you got for me?
Hey, what you got for me, my boy?
I ain't got no money today. It's free?
Hey, man, what you got? You got Moderna or Pfizer, bro?
Wait, hold on. Let me get Mark S together because I need you to understand. I know this is a wig, but I'm going to tell you something. He said that my wig matches being a junkie. I'm going to tell you something. This wig,
why he
this is Peruvian? I'm not sure.
Come on, Peruvian.
Silky.
Let me tell you something. This wig costs hundreds of dollars. This will never be a junkie wig. I can run my fingers through it. I told you it was probably behind the bed.
Talk about a black woman's hair, man.
It was probably behind the bed or in the closet. But one thing about it is every single time my wigs will never, ever be like a junkie wig. And then, at the same time, no disrespect to people who are fighting and battling, being junkies. You know what it made me think of though?
The
Holiday movie. The Holiday movie.
Oh, I thought you were about to talk.
Yeah, Holiday Heart. When the lady was at the end and her wig was doing something crazy.
Wig was horrible.
This is not what that is doing over here. Let me be clear. Look,
I'm going to tell you.
This is not.
I'm going to tell you who I thought you were talking about. In the after party, patreon.com.
Oh, God. I already know you talking about, man.
I was about to say, you are not going to disrespect my friend. Like it or not,
I don't know.
Patreon.com. I'm going to let you know in the after party. Patreon.com/like it or not. We're getting ready. Yeah, you really do. We're getting ready to go to the after party. Before we do, I want to pull up, if we have it, a graphic for those of you who are not patrons, to go over and support our brother from another mother, Pascal, the Pascal Show. They are starting momentarily on YouTube and on Twitch. Chuck Diesel, do me a favor and put a link in the chat rooms across the different platforms. Go over there and support him because he has been a really active supporter of us. And we have the patron party tonight. We have the patron party tonight.
Right, Rebecca.
I'm trying.
I'm
about to go into his channel and talk about him. Like, bro, what's this, bro?
Alone. You know he a comedian. He gonna come on here and flame you up next time.
I'm trying.
He won't dare. You see that every time he gets on here, he doesn't even try.
Oh, and then also in the after party, I'm gonna tell Rebecca and Pascal about I went to the gym with a Haitian brother in Boston, and I'll just tell you the rest of the story in the after party. Patreon.com/like it or not. If you're a patron of the Benjamin Dixon Show, you already have access to it. If you're part of any of our orbits, you have access to it. And then tonight at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, it is our regular patron party where we go until DJ Exclusive is tired of playing the hits. So make sure you're there. Rebecca may or may not show up, but when she does, it's always
I'm tired. I'm going to sleep.
You better have your ass there tonight.
You better, people say we pay good money to come and hang out with you, Rebecca Azor. Patreon.com.
People tip more when you're in the house. So come on, Rebecca.
There's a Haitian drive tonight for they're at the Legacy Center. If you guys are in Atlanta, there is a drive happening tonight. And nice. To drive by, drop off some things, which I'll be doing. But after that, I know you guys probably will still be on, and I'm coming home. I'm going to bed.
Join the patron party from there. You know you got Zoom on your phone. Go ahead, get the Haitian party some coverage.
The Legacy Center is like right down the street. She can pull up and like come to the house, and we can party over here for like a few minutes. You're gonna have to wear a mask, sis, but I'm just playing.
Patreon.com.
I got the temperature gun too. I can check the temperature at the door.
Give me options. I just want to make love to my bed. That's really it.
Why don't we have instant? We need like we need some instant tests. Like I need a 5-minute test for COVID so we can let people into some of these parties. But I digress.
Oh, you about to beat your face for me tonight?
Hey, they got the little ones that you can get at the drugstore. It's a pack of 2, and they come back in 15 minutes.
I need them wholesale because I want to have a big party in person, and I need everybody. You come in to test at the door, and you sit over there quarantined until that test comes back. But I digress. Patreon.com/like it or not. Become a patron. We're getting ready to go to the after party. Anything left, Rebecca or James, y'all want to say to the public? And then James, it's in your hands to take us to the party. Bye. Is that it?
Look, I mean it. Shout out to everybody, man. Thank y'all so much again for joining us this morning and tuning in. Had a great few hours, man. So enjoy it. Make sure you slide on over to that if you have not already. And I guess David's not here to drop the link, huh? So, yeah. Well, thank y'all again for tuning in. Patreon.com/like it or not. Patreon.com/like it or not. If we don't see you tonight, we will see y'all on Monday.
Now I'm dying to let you know what I feel. It's some kind of wonderful, some kind of magical.
To Justice in the chat, Justice Recoverness, good morning, B, good morning. Kiki Streets, Brother Roll Runner going on, Vicky Roll Runner, Brandy Rover, good morning. You have a good week for you too.